Ding dong YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Jobless Coder, and it's that time of year again, the Steam Summer Sale, when the greatest deals on all the video games can be had. So I thought it would be fun if today I went through and chose 10 fantastic games for you to check out during this sale. But before I begin, I wanted to thank everyone who is subscribed to this channel and continues to be subscribed to this channel. I know I don't produce as much videos as often as I would like to, and for those who are subscribed, you're probably expecting more content more often. And there's a really good reason for that. Simply put, it just comes down to time and not having enough of it in the day. I started coding last night around 8 p.m. It's 1 o'clock now, so that's 17 hours worth of coding. And now I'm doing this video, and then I'm going to be filming it and editing it and releasing it later tonight on my YouTube channel. And it's the weekend too, so I work basically 24/7 around the clock. I don't have a video editor like most other YouTubers do, who they can just film a video and then send it off to be edited and produced and uploaded. I do everything myself, so that's the filming and the editing, and to do all of that can take anywhere from 5 hours to 8 hours. So that's an entire day's worth of work just taken out doing that. So when it comes down to it, making YouTube videos is pretty much the first thing that gets scratched off the list of tasks that I will not accomplish today. But because it's the Steam sale, I figured I would make this video. I'm also working full-time still on Bareback Streets. It's a furry porn game developed by Jason Effects, as well as building the prototype completely from the ground up, completely from scratch, the prototype for Amorous 2, which will be the sequel to Amorous 1, which is the smash hit. At least in the furry fandom, it's the smash hit furry dating game called Amorous 1. And I'm also doing some furry art on the side. As well, I recently got into trading NFTs back in April. And so that's going the whole grinding process, the whitelist, going through Discords and on Twitter. You can literally spend 24 hours a day doing that. It's a full-time job in itself. So I feel like I'm basically working 3 full-time jobs, and I'm also running this YouTube channel. Basically, as long as I can stay awake and I have energy to focus, I'm basically glued to my computer 24/7. So I appreciate everyone that is subscribed to this channel. I would like it if you gave this video a like, shared it out. I don't make any money doing this. This channel's not monetized. I don't have enough subscribers for that. So it's just something that I'm also working on, building on the side. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the video and start with the first game. Also, for reference, all prices that I list are going to be in Canadian dollars. That's because that's the area that I live. It's the region that gets displayed on my Steam store, and I just didn't bother to do the conversion of the prices to the equivalent US dollars. But I'll also give their percentage in terms of discount. So game number 1 is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, if you don't know about Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's a long-running series of flight simulator games developed by Microsoft. The latest game that was released in 2020. Prior to that, the most previous game was released in 2010, and it was Microsoft Flight Simulator X. Apparently, the company has been developing this series for over 40 years. It is actually Microsoft's oldest IP. It's even older than Windows. And although this list is not in any particular order, I have decided to put this one as my number 1 game on the list, and I'll tell you why. Now, I recently found out about the newest version of this simulator program, and it's like a simulator / game. It was because of a documentary that was produced by a channel called NoClip. And if you've never heard of NoClip, you should absolutely go to subscribe to them. It's done by a guy by the name of Danny O'Dwyer, and he makes the highest quality production documentary videos about video games and their development and their history and everything like that. And so he made this 50-minute long video describing the history of the Microsoft Flight Simulator, including the most recent version. And so I would definitely recommend you go check that video out. But I will say, this game is the most technologically complex piece of software that has ever been written. I'm not even joking. You have to go and watch the documentary to find out the full story. I won't go overly into details on it because this video would end up being an hour long. Basically, the entire length of the documentary, I would have to cover everything that happened. If you were to take any one component of this game out of the game and look at it independently and assess it, it would be impressive enough what they were able to accomplish. But together as a whole is what makes this game so fantastic. This game is so incredibly advanced. No one person could even develop it, not even a group of people, not even a billion-dollar games company like EA Games or Blizzard or Activision could have developed this game just because of the sheer amount of hardware and resources and innovation that had to take place. I'd say that there are exactly 3 companies on the planet that even have the resources to have created a game like this. They are Microsoft, Google, and IBM. Those are pretty much the only companies I can think of that would even have the capability to make such a game. So you're probably wondering by now what it is that makes this game so different as opposed to the previous iterations of the Microsoft Flight Simulator. And in short, you can fly to every single airport on Earth in this game. They've basically created a 3D model, 100% accurate 3D representation of the planet in a freaking video game. And if that wasn't impressive enough, they have worked with meteorological companies to get aggregate live-time data from satellites of the weather. And not only can you fly to any place on the planet, but the area that you fly in this game is actually displaying real-time weather patterns that are in accordance with the actual weather happening in that location at that time. So that's what makes this game very impressive. Its regular price is $79.99, but it's being discounted for about $63 and has a 20% off discount.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Alright, so the next game on the list is called the Stanley Parable. Its regular price is $16.99 and it's discounted for $8.40 at 50% off. Now, the Stanley Parable is a comedical type click-through adventure game that, if you're a fan of Portal, you'll enjoy because it's kind of similar in a way to Portal. There's also a documentary that you can watch on this from the game's developer conference YouTube channel, the GDC channel, where they talk about the development process of the Stanley Parable and how it got created. Basically, you have this narrator that walks you through the entire game, and like that being similar to Portal, where Gladys is basically narrating your entire journey throughout the game, so the narrator does the same. And there's a lot of different jokes and references and Easter eggs and funny achievements that you can get for this game, so I definitely recommend checking it out.
When the demons kill the king, there is but one course of action. Revenge. Build your cities. Recruit your army. Raise your heroes.
Alright, the next game on the list is a game that I never miss an opportunity to advertise, and it is because it is my favorite game of all time, even though it's over 15 years old at this point. It's called Heroes of Might and Magic 5. It was developed by Ubisoft and came out in 2006, with an expansion pack in 2007 and 2008. And although the game is nearly 20 years old, actually, it's impressive how the graphics have held up, being a 3D game. It looks fantastic even to this day, and the story is great. It's like Lord of the Rings type lore, the amount of detail and backstories and everything that go into each of the characters. The campaign is at least 60 hours long, depending on your preferences and play speed. It's got a multiplayer mode, which, although the Ubisoft servers have since shut that down, you can still play multiplayer using like a third-party tool such as Game Ranger. It has a bunch of widespread fan base, although the fans have mostly gone away over the years just because Ubisoft stopped producing the franchise. But other than that, Heroes of Might and Magic 5 is probably like the single greatest outstanding game of all time. I have not played a game since Heroes that I have enjoyed as much as I did playing Heroes. The regular price for this game is $9.99, but it's got a 75% discount, so you can get it for $2.49. So literally the price of a coffee, you can get a hold of what I would consider to be the greatest game of all time. Alright, the fourth game on the list is called Halloween Decorations Sandbox, and it's my own game produced by Tech Skull Studios. This game, keep in mind, is an early access game, although it's not technically shown that on the store of Steam. You can get the little tag that says early access, and that's simply because it's also my very first game released to the Steam store. So I pretty much had no idea what I was doing, and once you release a game as being final production, you can't go back and say, oh, it's actually early access. So there's one review, it's a bad review, a negative review, although the criticism the guy gave on it is entirely valid. He even made a 15-minute YouTube video where he went through all of the problems that he had with the game, and it was like, yeah, I know I need to fix that bug, and these features are missing, and that's missing. And so again, the amount of time that I have to work on this shit. But I'm still working on it and hope to eventually get it to a point where it would be enjoyable. It's heavily inspired by Roller Coaster Tycoon, so a lot of the layout and everything, the way the placement of the decorations on the map and stuff is similar to that in a way. So if you're into Halloween at all, it's a VR game. If you're into VR games at all, maybe check that out. It's regular $10, but you can get it on for, well, it's actually regular $11.49. It's 10 American dollars. You can get it on for 50% off, so that's $5.74 Canadian. Alright, game number 5, which is regular price $21.99. You can get it on discount for $15.39 at 30% off. It's called Cuphead. And this game was produced, I think, 5 or 6 years ago at this point, but it looks visually fantastic. They've taken the 1920s and 30s and 40s style Disney-esque type looking cartoons and made the hand-drawn animations for each of the enemies and the characters and the players, and they got, you know, old-time jazz music and stuff playing throughout the levels. It is also very hard. It is very challenging. Although I've never owned this game, I've played certain levels at friends' houses, and it's probably one of the most hardest games, at least of recently, that has been released. It'll have you screaming and throwing your controller at the screen for sure. So if that's your thing, if you enjoy a challenge, if you enjoy visually beautiful artwork, then I would definitely recommend checking that out as well.
Let me tell you what's out there. Vast reaches of wilderness, untamed. A rugged domain. Majestic, but lethal.
Alright, number 6 on the list is Horizon Zero Dawn. Regular price is $59.99, and it's on for 50% off for $29.99. Now, I've never actually owned this game, although when I was living in Calgary with a roommate, he pulled me into his room the one day and he absolutely had to show me this game. And so I sat on his bed and watched him play for like 5 hours at least. and he went through and he started from the beginning, but then he jumped to various other saves that were later in the game. You're basically playing in this kind of post-apocalyptic type world that has this, remnants of the old city, and then there's like a new city built on top, and everyone, for whatever reason, has reverted to becoming very tribalistic. They hunt and wild animals and stuff. They live in tribes again. But there's all this crazy technology everywhere that's like a remnant of the old way of life. And although I've never played the story, from what I gathered, there's a plot twist. There's probably several plot twists. There's a reason why things are the way they are, or maybe they're not as they seem. That kind of various things. So if you enjoy games with a story, with plot twists, with sci-fi, with post-apocalyptic worlds, you should definitely check that one out as well.
DC and Adam, you're there. Good, good.
You need something, boss?
Yeah, I want to go over your security plans for Washington before we leave. You and your team ready to go, Megan?
Almost, David. We're just rechecking data.
Well, make it snappy. We have to actually be in Washington before you can dazzle all those federally appointed know-it-alls.
I hate it when he does that. Come on, I'll walk you partway.
Alright, game number 7 on the list, which is another game that was shown to me by the very same roommate of mine, Deus Ex Revolution. And its regular price is $29.99. This one has a substantial discount, 85%, so you can get it for $3.29 Canadian. Literally the price of coffee at Tim Hortons. Now, when my roommate showed me this game again, he was like, "Oh, I need to absolutely show you this game." So I went and I sat and I watched him play it for probably 5 hours in his bedroom. And when he started it, there's like a little intro level that you go through, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're starting to get a sense for the storyline. And then it was like, boom! Holy crap! There's like this intro cutscene that's like on the level of watching a Marvel movie. I was like, holy shit! The amount of high quality fidelity textures on the characters and everything, it was amazing. I was like, is this a fucking Marvel movie or what? You should definitely check that game out as well. I bought it immediately after he showed me and I played for a bit. I haven't played it in a while, but that's because of time again. But I do enjoy it, and if you like games that are sci-fi, futuristic, again, another post-apocalyptic type scenario, fighting bad guys and stuff like that, you should enjoy this for sure.
My sister has it. Leia!
Luke, I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Alright, game number 8, which is priced at $59.99, and that's because it just came out a few months ago in April. Regular price, $59.99, discounted at 25%. You can get it for $44.99. It's Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Now, as far as I understand, this game encompasses all of the movies. Everything is in this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so I enjoyed Lego Star Wars 2. I enjoyed Lego Star Wars 1. They were some of my favorite games when I was playing GameCube when I was younger. So I definitely want to check this game out for sure. To have the entire complete saga as they have it. Apparently they've gone back and redone all of the animations for the first games because they didn't have any voice actors, or they didn't have access to the IP as much as they do now, as they did back then. So they just kind of had grunting and the characters making random sounds and motioning to things. I enjoyed it, actually. I thought that was kind of funny. I wasn't a big fan of when Lego introduced voice acting into their games, but now that they've gone and redone it, you might as well have the redo with the animations redone, the cutscenes with the voice acting and everything. So it looks good, and I'll definitely want to check that one out. Alright, The 9th game on the list is called Planet Coaster, and this one also has a substantial discount. Its regular price is $60. You can get it for $15 at 75% off. And this game has been described as the spiritual successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I was also a big fan of Roller Coaster Tycoon growing up. I played, I think it was number 2. We had the CD disc. We got it from a cereal box, as most people got the copy of that game from the cereal box. Speaking of the documentary channel, No Clip Documentaries also has a documentary on the history of Sid Sawyer, or whoever the guy is that developed Roller Coaster Tycoon and the entire franchise in that. So you should check that out as well. But Planet Coaster is supposed to be the spiritual successor. So Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 was basically a flop, and any iteration afterwards has been a complete failure. Planet Coaster looks fantastic. The graphics look good. It was basically what Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 should have been. So if you enjoy that series, you want to check that out for sure. Alright, the 10th game on the list, and the reason that I included this game is actually because one of the developers that we have working for Jason Effects on Amorous 2, he's a 3D modeler, he lives in Brazil, and he actually works for the studio that produced this game, and so he's allotted a year worth of production time to create all custom-made assets, 3D models for us for Amorous. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The best free porn game you'll ever find. It'll be the best porn game probably in general that you'll ever find. But besides that, this guy also works on train game called Rolling Line, and he's absolutely obsessed with trains. He loves trains. He talks about them all the time. So this game is regular priced at $22.79. You can get it for 30% off at $15.95, and it looks like it also has VR support and a lot of the features that I want to implement into Halloween Decoration Sandbox. Speaking of Sandbox games, are in this game. So it's definitely more of a higher production quality, a finished game that has a team of people working on it, whereas I'm just one person trying to accomplish the same amount of stuff. But eventually, over time, I will hope to incorporate some of the technologies and things, and maybe even borrow some of the stuff this Brazilian guy has made. So make sure to check that out as well. And that's it for the list of the 10 games that you should check out during this summer sale. Just a reminder that it runs until the 7th of July at 10 a.m. in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. So make sure to get in on these deals before then if you want to actually get a chance at the discounts. And until then, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.